today I'm going to take you through setting up a webinar, give you some tips, and show you how detailed and specific I get so I can run a webinar that works. My name's Trudy, I'm from This Chick Means Business, and welcome to some webinar training. So in case you missed it in the comments, I'm running a webinar in 2 hours, and it's called The Steps for Successfully Moving Out of Startup. So why did I decide on my webinar topic to be this? Because this is what my niche needs, and this is what is actually going to lead into the offer that I'm going to make. Now, we love running valued pack-free training, but your webinar needs to have a purpose. What is the purpose of your webinar? Is it a list builder? Is it to make an offer? Is it something that you're going to use later on as a piece of content for repurposing? And I would suggest that would be the case. So, webinars generally are used for demonstrating your skill and your knowledge in a certain topic area and then offering a product or a service. So, you know your niche. I'm going to assume that you've been around me long enough to know that niching is important. So you know your niche and you know where they're at this stage of the journey, and you know the help that they need and what they're looking for. So you base your webinar around that. Now, I've got a pretty simple webinar formula that I use. Old school webinars would have half an hour of the person hosting the webinar talking about themselves, how amazing they are, building rapport, demonstrating all the stuff of the things. I keep talk about myself to about 5 minutes max, because I market to warm traffic. So I would assume by the time you're jumping on one of my webinars, you've got a pretty good feel for who I am. But I will talk a little bit about myself for those people that have somehow managed to stumble across me and are intrigued and do need to know a little something about who I am. So then we want to talk about why people are here, what they're looking for, where they're at in their journey, all of those kinds of things, so people know they're in the right place and people know, and people know the value that they're going to get. Because if they don't know pretty quickly that the webinar is going to give them what they're looking for, they might stay on the line, but they'll also tune out. So as you can see, I've got a monitor. I can have more than one window open. So if I'm on a webinar and the person is rambling, the temptation is to check Asana, tick something off the list, maybe build a slide deck if I've got a training coming up. So you need to be engaging. So introduce yourself, but don't go on about yourself. Make sure people know why they're here, reassure them, tell them why they need it, what life will look like when they don't have it, and then go into your content. Now, I spend on average in one of my webinars anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes on the content, because I allow 10 minutes at the end for questions. So with the content, you have two options. So this is how I work. Depending on the subject, I'll either overview a broad range of points and give the people the why they need it, what they need to know, and a little bit of the how they need to move into the next steps and start taking action. Or I will go really deep into one section of content. So today is looking at the stages of business growth and what those stages to build your business look like. So I'll be covering off lots of areas and giving enough information for people to be able to go, cool, that's what I need to do. That's the action I need to take. That's where I should be looking to fix my business. When I was launching my e-course training, I either did a general overview of all of the components of the course, or I would go really deep into one section. So for that, a year or so ago, I was going really deeply into niching. So there's a couple of different ways you can deliver your content. Now, we always need to allocate time for questions, but one of the biggest things I see on webinars is that, and it could be a nerve thing, so when you're doing your first webinar, be aware of this, give yourself time to pitch your product or service. Now, this is called fair exchange. This is the law of reciprocity. If you've delivered good value in your webinar, people are happy to hear you talk about how you can help them with their next steps on the journey. So always make sure you allow time to pitch. Now, I used to do it. I used to get really nervous and I felt really awkward. So I would stumble through and spend like 2 minutes talking about what the next step working with me could look like. And, my early webinars didn't convert very well because delivering good value is so important. But do yourself the favor. You've spent all of your time promoting your webinar, and generally you give a week to 10 days to 2 weeks. I generally have a 10 to 2 week lead time for my webinars. So people are open to that. So make sure you give yourself time to talk about your amazing services and products. Now, my webinars, I script them all out. I'm not afraid to say that. And the reason I script them is I can match each slide to each section of content. I could talk for days, so it keeps me on track, it keeps me on time. But there's actually a thing called mental load and mental capacity. And if I know what I need to say, I can say it, it's clear, I don't waffle, and then I can stay present in the moment. So if questions pop up, I can then also answer the questions. And I'm not worried and thinking ahead or stressed or distracted. I don't miss out on sharing key pieces of information. It flows really easy. Now, I don't necessarily read it word for word now because I'm so confident with my content, but I have it as a guide. So don't be afraid to script stuff out because, every slide here matches a paragraph or a note point on here. And it's easy, right? Because you want your webinars to be easy, because you don't want to be sitting there, and especially for your first ones, you don't want to be sitting there going, oh, what was I supposed to say now? Oh my gosh, I've forgotten. And you don't want to freeze. So give yourself every opportunity to succeed, right? And then you can match your slides. Now, slides. I keep mine pretty simple. I don't put too much content on them. And there's a reason. I don't want people reading heaps and heaps of content on a slide and missing what I'm saying. They need to be listening and focusing and taking notes on what's important. Sitting down and writing, this is probably about the heaviest content slide that I have, because this is everything that's getting covered in today's webinar, right? So the stages of business and the steps to move through those stages. So this is where my webinar is going to be overviewing lots of small pieces so people can start putting the puzzle together. So as you can see here, for this particular slide, I only have a heading because I really want people to be focused on my voice and hearing what I'm talking about when I go through these sections of content. So webinars don't need to be scary. You just need to be organized. You need to plan your dates, be very clear on your content, be clear on the outcomes, share it consistently. Now, you might get to the point where you feel like you have told every single person about your webinar. Keep sharing it because chances are somebody still hasn't seen the post. So, and you can see here, this is my slides for working with me. There's the links, the price, it's all pretty easy. Share challenge winners, and a thank you slide. So hopefully that's helped you demystify webinars. They're a lot of fun. Some people say webinars are dead. Webinars that don't deliver value are dead. You'll lose people pretty quickly if your webinar is boring, doesn't highlight in the early piece that people are in the right space for getting the content that they want. If your slides are too content heavy, or if they don't have any imagery, so you need to have a little bit of a mix with that. It's trial and error. I've been running webinars in various forms for 8 years now. I have a lot of fun with them, and this is the thing. Remember, they're a connection point for people to get to know you. So let your personality shine through. You know, these are my brand colors. They're bright, they're fun. We do the work. They're reflective of that. We have a lot of energy. We love what we do. We're very connected. So let your slides reflect who you are as well. So if you have any questions about webinars, type them down below. If you need help setting them up or getting organized or planning, you know, there's also the follow-up email sequences and things that go with it. Hit me up, can help you out. We can book some sessions, whatever you need. And as always, here's to your business success and have fun doing your first webinar. Bye.